Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise today to support this bill. This is a bill that should have been passed years ago. In fact, the changes should never have gone through in the first place. The former Labor government should never have removed police powers to keep our communities safe from the scourge of nuisance drinking. I just want to start tonight by talking about the impact on my electorate that public drinking has, following on from the member for Drysdale and the member for Karama, because antisocial behaviour, aka public drinking, is probably, and the nuisance behaviour that follows along with it is probably one of the biggest issues in my electorate. Emery Avenue. That avenue is next to the Sacred Heart Primary School. It used to be once upon a time, a lovely street. You know, so nice. It was built around a Catholic primary school. Now, that street is synonymous with broken glass, public drinking, and just terrible behaviour. The poor students in that school who have to come and go in the morning and catch a bus, you know, and the things that they have to see and the language and the behaviour they have to witness is just intolerable. During the campaign, I was constantly on Emery Avenue chasing down broken glass, and the poor City of Palmerston Council was constantly sending street sweepers into that street trying to sweep up all the broken glass. It was just out of control. You'd get it swept up, and then 2 days later, or sometimes even the next morning, that very night, there'd be broken glass there again. During the campaign, I was walking around just talking to people as I do, and I ran into some of the member for Daly's constituents up there on Emery Avenue, and there was quite a bush. You think we'd call it like a Jim Beam bush, because it was growing quite a large number of Jim Beam bottles. And just, I think I filled up about 3, I posted it on Facebook at the time, there was about 3 garbage bags that I filled up of beer stubbies, Jim Beam bottles. I was trying to do my best as a private citizen to stop the broken glass before it got smashed. And the residents of Emery Avenue are just at their wits' end. Their absolute wits' end from the drinking that goes on all night. Sybil Crescent. So last week I was there after the markets. We've got some public housing there. Now this is something that I'll be probably talking about as we go on in this house. I'll keep coming back to it, but we had some visitors in from out of town. The lawful tenant did not want them there, but was unable culturally and physically to direct them to leave. Police attended, but then they would scatter and then come back later. And they were just drinking. And they'd go into Geoid Park and drink. Bomback Street over in Malden, another street that's just covered in broken glass. When I door knock in my electorate, people say that they can't let their kids go out on the street. A few reasons, one of them being all the broken glass everywhere. And you clean it up and it comes back. Why is there so much broken glass? Well, I remember a time when we had goon bags and green cans around, and I'm not saying that's a good thing, but given that we do have a large population of people who have alcohol problems, if they're drinking goon bags and green cans, well, there's no broken glass. But unfortunately, the changes of the previous government moved people from cask wine to heavy spirits. And unfortunately, we know that if you're drinking heavy spirits, you're going to get a lot drunker, a lot faster. And then as well, you've got a glass bottle, which can comprise a serious weapon. Strawbridge Park in Malden, that's a lovely park, right next to the shops. But unfortunately, it's used as either a highway or a drinking mecca, which means it's completely useless for the local parents to take their kids to play on the playground. Well, it used to have a playground. It doesn't have a playground anymore because it was unfortunately burnt down. Grey Community Hall, the member for Drysdale spoke about that. There's a wonderful seniors group that meets there every Tuesday. I love going along there, but it's always you're always a little bit nervous when you're at Grey Community Hall because of the antisocial behaviour and the drinking that's going on. You know, you're always wondering whether the drinking will escalate into domestic violence and assaults right in front of the door, and we'll then have to, you know, call the police or go outside and try to rescue someone. I want to talk on a bit of a sensitive topic here because it's kind of the dog that didn't bark. So I thank the member for Mulca for bringing up Kumanjai Langdon, and I know that coronial well. I've read it several times, and it is a very sad story. But the dog that didn't bark is the significant health problems that Kumanjai Langdon was suffering from, which are quite likely a result of his drinking. So in the coroner's report, he lists out some of the health findings. So, and I will just read them into Hansard here. 2004, cardiomyopathy. 2010, diabetes. October 2014, pulmonary edema. February 2015, congestive cardiac failure, congestive cardiomyopathy. April 2015, cardiomegaly, enlarged heart. 31st of March 2015, echo test reported severe pulmonary hypertension and dilated cardiomyopathy. So this touches on something that I think the other side of the chamber would agree, which is the severe health issues in our Indigenous population due to many causes, one of which is severe alcohol consumption. And I think we can all agree that those health problems are a very real problem, and we lose too many elders, too many wise people to the scourge of alcohol. If Kumanjai Langdon hadn't been taken into custody on that night, it's quite likely he may have passed away very sadly on the street in Darwin CBD. And if that had happened, no one would know his name outside of his family. We would not be talking about him today. Sadly, when Indigenous people die due to health problems, which arguably could be of their own making, there's very little noise that gets made. On election night, which should have been a very happy night, the next day I had to go and do sorry business for two members of my Yolngu family who passed away on that Saturday night. There was no violence involved. Two separate incidents, not related. They just lay down and they died. Likely, due to heart issues. It happens a lot. And we need to address the health issues in our community, but the fact that we have people with fragile health conditions should not stop us from keeping our streets safe. Because if someone like Kumanjai Langdon passes away in custody, then there will be a coronial, there will be quite a bit of attention. If he passes away on the street, well, he won't get any medical attention at all, just lying in the gutter. I, for one, would prefer that they get medical attention, come to the attention of authorities, get seen to, get cared for, get looked after, rather than just being, left alone to pass away. Madam Speaker, this bill is about activating police powers and allowing them to intervene on problem drinking before it becomes a problem later in the evening. In my electorate of Blaine, I've seen too many times the drinking circle of 12, 1, 2, 3 p.m. becomes the domestic violence incident or the aggravated assault at 9 and 10 p.m. The pathway from excessive drinking and intoxication to assaults and domestic violence is all too clear. I'm proud to be part of a government that will be taking a health approach to the scourge of problem drinking when we begin to introduce our alcohol treatment in the future. But for now, we need to keep our streets safe. We need to intervene in the drinking circles before they escalate, for the sake of the Indigenous women in our electorates, in our communities. As the member for Drysdale said, I would much rather someone who is intoxicated and causing a nuisance in a public place have a safe place to sleep off his intoxication and come to the attention of the appropriate authorities, rather than, as myself, the member for Drysdale, the member for Karama, probably many of us in this House have seen, rather than continuing to drink, continuing to escalate and resulting in violent behaviour which causes significant harm to a helpless victim later that evening. Madam Speaker, I commend this bill to the House.